Hello, everybody. Wow, that was very good. You quieted down very fast. My name is Caro Llewellyn, and I'm the CEO of the Wheeler Centre for Books, Writing and Ideas. Unfortunately, tonight, Wurundjeri elder Auntie Joy Murphy-Wandin is not able to join us, so I'm going to give an acknowledgement of country, and then I'm going to introduce Sister Zai, who's going to come up and do some housekeeping, and then I'm going to come back again, and then we'll start the real proceedings for tonight. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, traditional owners on the land we're gathering on today. And I'd also like to acknowledge all First Nations people joining us here and also online, and pay my respects to elders past and present. This land was never ceded, and we are grateful and privileged to be here today. Sister Zai.
Hi everyone, my name is Sister Zai. I am Mofu Achihera, born and raised in Zimbabwe. I too would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of this land and to pay my respects to all the First Nations people who are present with us today. So we're here to celebrate and announce the winners of the 2023 Victorian Premier's Literary Awards, which, yes, celebrate, which honour literary achievement by Australian writers. The awards are administered by the Wheeler Centre on behalf of the Premier of Victoria. But first, we're going to hear a little bit more about the awards later, but first let's get into some housekeeping. So whose TBR pile is about this high? Because it's about to get a little higher. Neighbourhood Books is situated here as well, so you can actually purchase the shortlisted books from there, and you might even be able to chase down some of the nominees and winners so you can get your copy signed, so that's nice. For those of you looking for accessible toilets, there are some at the rear doors of the venue. And this event is being live streamed and recorded today. We welcome all online viewers from wherever you're watching. And for those following updates online, or those of you who are tweeting in here, please use the hashtag VPLA2023. So Caro, back to you.
Thanks, Sister Zai, and thank you for hosting tonight. It's amazing to have you with us. It's my really great pleasure to welcome the Honourable Steve Dimopoulos MP, Minister for Creative Industries. Not quite yet, Steve. It's good to see that he's so enthusiastic. We were talking about this being the Logies or the Academy Awards. You just made it the Academy Awards. Catherine Andrews, Lord Mayor Sally Capp, former Minister for the Arts Martin Foley, TWC patrons Maureen and Tony Wheeler, without whom the Wheeler Centre would not exist, TWC Chair Kate Tawney, and former Chair Susan Oliver, and all TWC board members. I'd like to acknowledge our partners, Creative Victoria, Fed Square, sorry, I never know what to do with this thing. There we go. Fed Square, Montalto Wines, which you're enjoying now, our wonderful partner at the Sofitel, thank you, Clive. I must also acknowledge the amazing team at the Wheeler Centre for making this evening possible, with a special shout out to Xanthia O'Connor, who will kill me later, but who has worked tirelessly to make all tonight's magic happen. And prior to tonight, she has been, for the last many months, wrestling with hundreds of books, boxing them up, sending them to our judges, and making sure it's all come together, and it's quite a logistical nightmare. To all our distinguished guests, writers, readers, booksellers, publishers, friends, and supporters, welcome and thank you for joining us here tonight, particularly given the weather. And how great that we're here under the covers in the warm and the dry. And thanks to The Edge and to help us celebrate the 38th Annual Victorian Premiers Literary Awards. I'm also excited to be able to share the evening, as I said before, with our live stream viewers around Australia and beyond, joining us to witness fiercely talented Australian writers being celebrated for their creativity and excellence. Well, during the last few years of lockdowns and uncertainties, we were strongly reminded of the critical role storytelling plays in our lives. During those long dark days, shut in our homes, reading brought much needed solace. But as tonight also shows, those long dark months also prompted a lot of writing and highlights people's need to tell stories as well as read them. What you'll see tonight is that many of the shortlisted books are from debut writers compelled to put their stories to paper during these past years. So I guess we've got something to be thankful for. These awards are a wonderfully positive and uplifting way to start the year, toasting great writing with some great wine, great books and great authors, along with their fearless publishers and amazing booksellers. It's a timely reminder of the sense of hope that writing and literature can provide when we need it most. Tonight, we will reveal the winning works and hear from the winning writers in each of the eight award categories: fiction, non-fiction, drama, poetry, Indigenous writing, young adult writing, the prize for an unpublished manuscript, and the People's Choice Award, as well as the big one. I was going to say something that was very inappropriate. The Victorian Prize for Literature, which is the country's richest single literary prize, at a glorious $100,000. Indeed. And none of which would have been possible to determine without the hard work of the judges who read, discussed, debated, and eventually decided upon tonight's shortlisted writers and winners. That is a huge undertaking and a big responsibility, and we're enormously indebted to you all. I'd also like to acknowledge our colleagues at Creative Victoria and the Premier's Office, to the Premier Daniel Andrews himself and Catherine, and Minister Steve Dimopoulos for their unstinting commitment to the Australian literary community. And now we also have some federal attention from Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Minister Tony Burke, who on Monday morning launched Australia's amazing new cultural policy. Yay! Yeah. Indeed. I was very lucky to be in the room, which Tony Burke said that the SB was his idea of posh, which I thought was fantastic. When it was announced that we will finally have our own poet laureate, I tell you, I screamed so loudly. Simon Crean was sitting in front of me, and I think I burst his ears. And it was also recognised how hard it's been for writers over the past 10 years or so, with a commitment made to do more for the literary sector. And I think that we should all feel very, very, very positive about that. Because it has been hard, and it's been particularly hard for writers, which is another reason why these awards are so very important. The Premier's Literary Awards quite literally changed the course of the winners' lives, honouring and sometimes launching the careers of some of this country's most respected and acclaimed writers. And again, I'd just like to quickly really pay homage to Premier Daniel Andrews and his government for their continued support and commitment to the awards, and also their broader support of arts and culture. I tell you, it can't be stated enough. All right, and before I hand over to the Minister, and this is your cue, I'd like to take a moment to thank my incredible team at the Wheeler Centre for their incredible devotion to the value of books and public discussion and the vital role they play challenging assumptions, inspiring new ideas, and building resilient communities. Thanks, I get teary. Thanks to each of you for bringing all your incredible smarts, and hearts to everything that you do. You enrich us all, and you particularly inspire me every single day. So as we launch into this new year, let's celebrate the incredible breadth and depth of artistic and literary talent in this country, and what better way to do it than handing out wads of cash. So thank you all, and it's now my great pleasure to welcome Honourable Steve Dimopoulos, MP, Minister for Creative Industries.
You're very generous.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Caro. Thank you for your very generous and warm words for the whole community, and including the government that I'm a proud member of. I will acknowledge Sister Zai, and good evening, everyone. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet and pay my respects to their elders past and present, the Wurundjeri Wurrung people, and understanding that there's been a legacy of storytelling on these very lands for probably about 2,000 generations. I texted Martin Fowler to see whether he was here, and he said he sure is. It's the best gig going around, and it's my first time, but I was already very excited to come here. It is any city state worth the title of a global city or state should have vibrant writers and literary community, and these awards are emblematic of that. I want to acknowledge doing a gig with Catherine Andrews is fun because she is awesome. I don't know which one of us is representing the Premier, but I think she knows him a little bit better, so I'll say it's Catherine representing the Premier. Catherine is a passionate champion of the importance of reading, writing and publishing, and she advocates for Victorian writers constantly. You follow her on social media or any other forum, she's extraordinary. Sally Capp, the Lord Mayor of Melbourne, the awesome Lord Mayor of Melbourne, acknowledge Sally. Caro Llewellyn, CEO of the Wheeler Centre, you're incredible, your energy, your inspiration, and your team. Kate Tawney and the board, thank you so much for the custodianship of this important awards and the community generally, and the Wheeler family, I understand, are here. Martin Foley is amazing. Thank you, Martin, for being here. I don't know where he is, but he's somewhere here. There he is, yeah. My predecessor, our hard-working judging panel, special guests from across the publishing and literary community, and most importantly, really, the shortlisted writers, their friends and family, because it's, in a sense, your night as much as anyone else's. So welcome to the UNESCO City of Literature, to celebrate the written word in all its glory, whether it's on the page or the stage, in prose or in verse, impeccably researched facts or flights of the imagination. What writers do is incredibly powerful, and it matters. I'm sure everyone here tonight is an avid reader, if not a writer, and you don't need to be convinced about the value of books and stories in our lives. People often refer to Victoria as sports mad, and I'm a sports minister, so I also refer to Victoria as sports mad. But how cool is Dan Andrews that he put that portfolio together with the arts, with the creative industries, because there's a lot of commonality. But that concept of sports mad is only one story of Victoria. Over 2 million people visit the State Library every year, one of the most visited libraries on the planet. And then if you put into that category the National Gallery of Victoria and a whole range of other institutions, the arts beat the sports every single day. And I'm not saying it's a competition. But we are also a literary loving state. Anyway, I digress. I'm sure every one of you here has been to a literary event before where someone like me, a minister, a CEO, anyone has spoken at length about the importance of books and literature, and you all smile politely and you clap, so thank you in advance for that. But you know all this literature is important, that's why you're here. That's why many of you have devoted a good portion of your working lives to the world of words and language. I'm not a writer, anything much other than emojis on text and some dry responses to ministerial briefs. So I have no experience in a writer's life, I'll be honest about that. But what does strike me is that unlike other pursuits like dance or film or theatre, writing seems to be a very solo pursuit. It's often, I've got this vision of, tucked away in winter, so a little cosy room in the attic somewhere with a fire going, or in summer, on some kind of balcony. But it's often you against the world, you against the bewildering infinity of your imagination, or against the oblivion of the writer's block, or simply against your own editor. So I want to say thank you for fighting these private solo battles. It is from these moments that you give us prose, poetry and reflection that help form our identity and give our city and our state its stories and its mirror. It's from your hard graft that we can ensure we are honest with ourselves, that we admit our mistakes as a society and aim to do better. And on a personal level, as a reader, I'd like to also say thank you. They say books can take you on a journey. There are many of us here who've read books. They've done far more than that. They've swept us off our feet. And for me, it's been several, including one that I read in preparation for this evening, but on summer holidays. Thank you, Caro, for sending me the books. But but I remember there was one book many years ago, 30 years ago, called Holding the Man. And I've read many others, obviously, since. But that speaks to me a lot. That one, in terms of just completely being enraptured in something, and for me, it was seeing myself for the first time as a gay guy in Melbourne in my late teens, seeing someone else that was gay in Melbourne. That's why local stories are important, and feeling for the first time that I'm not alone, because I was in the closet, and it was a huge... So they're extraordinarily powerful, and that's one story out of probably tens of millions, literally, just this decade, let alone last 100 years. Books, writing allows us to walk in someone else's shoes and see the world through different eyes, if only for a little while, making us more open-minded and receptive to new ways of thinking. And that's especially true now when you look at the stocktake of authors. More and more of our books and stories reflect the breadth of our cultural difference, the breadth of our humanity, sexual preference, whatever difference, cultural, linguistic background, socioeconomic background. It is so much more impactful because of the people who participate in these awards. I'm also pleased, as Caro said, the Federal Government National Cultural Policy launch at the SB the other night established a Writers Australia office, so literally a bureaucratic office, in the best forms of the word, bureaucratic office to actually care for writers, to care and push writers' concerns. These awards too are about honouring the contribution, as Caro said, and achievement of our writers, celebrating the diversity of Australian stories and promoting these incredible shortlisted works to wider readership. And we do that not just with platitudes, but with significant prize money, as you've heard, which hopefully affords the winners the time and the space to devote their next work. As Caro said, the coveted Victorian Prize for Literature is the single richest literary prize in Australia. And I think that speaks volumes, not just about the government, of course, from the Premier right through the government. This is in our DNA. This is not negotiable. This will always be backed by our government. But it's actually really... But it's really a reflection of the people that we proudly represent, the Victorian people. We're very different. The Victorian Government is proud to support these awards, and I want to thank Caro, Kate, the judges and the entire Wheeler Centre team for their hard work in delivering us this evening and this final product. To each of the finalists, thank you for your hard work and for bringing inspiration and new perspectives to our lives and to the thousands and millions of people that read these works over the next year or two. And thank you especially for walking so often on your own into the grand dance with your imagination, your self-doubt and your willpower to bring us the words and string the sentences that make our lives better. Whatever the result tonight, your achievements are actually extraordinary. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you, Cara. Thank you so much, Steve. I just want to pick up on a couple of points there that you raised because it's just so amazing. And I'm going to talk a bit because, you know, when a black woman gets the mic, it's quite rare. So I'm going to talk a little bit. Books are so important as well. And I'm somebody, I feel like I'm coming back to almost like where I started, the Emerging Writers Festival opening night, 2011. I was part of a women's storytelling collective that I founded, and we performed right here on this stage. And I remember looking around and going, where are the black people? And the whole Writers Festival was like, come and join us. You know, so it was a very enthusiastic moment. And I've just wrapped up a project as the lead community engagement consultant for a play called 7 Methods of Killing Kylie Jenner. And it was absolutely amazing to see the turnout amongst our community, as well as other folks who are coming and willing to hear about the humanity of black folks. So that was beautiful. So our first category for tonight is the People's Choice Award. The winner of the People's Choice Award is selected by the Australian public, with people voting for their favorite work published in 2022, not just those on the official VPLA shortlist. And the winner of this award will receive $2,000. I'd like to invite Mr. Demopoulos back to the stage to announce the winner.
Okay, I've got butterflies, I'll learn you guys. So the winner of the People's Choice Award is Astronomy Sky Country by Callie Noon and Crystal De Napoli.
Yawu Gabaningda, sorry. Thank you so much. Obviously, I want to thank my mum, my partner, and my family who carry me through everything. Obviously, my amazing co-writer, Crystal. And obviously to our publishers as well. If you haven't seen this book before, it's a part of a whole series, and it's so incredible that we get to delve into all these different facets of Indigenous knowledge. So I want to thank our publishers as well for making that a reality. Lastly, I want to thank my aunties and uncles, and all aunties and uncles, who are fighting endlessly to protect our lands from destruction, from mining, from people who want to destroy our lands. My auntie Polly Cutmore, my auntie Sharon, and all Gormori mob who fight every day to stop the mining off our lands. This battle is everyone's battle. Let's keep fighting, keep our lands, keep our waters, to be safe for our babies and for our future. Thank you.
Sorry, my heart is racing. Before I begin, I do want to acknowledge that it's such an honour to be on the lands of the Wurundjeri people, and I acknowledge their continued connection to these beautiful lands and waterways and sky country, and acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded. For anyone who's read Astronomy Sky Country, you'll probably be familiar that it starts with a particular chapter, something that's probably a bit unique or unexpected in a book about astronomy, which is about our personal journeys. And so for Carly and myself, I obviously can't speak for you, but I know we have a lot of similarities. We went through a lot of tough stuff growing up. We suffered a lot of hardship through poverty, both really almost didn't even pass high school. And we're very used, I think, to our voices being not heard. And so to be standing here today is surreal. And it's been a long journey from Wangaratta to the Edge Theatre. But I do want to thank everyone who gave us so much support, anyone who picked up the book and read it, to Mob for the feedback. That was, I know, the group that we really wanted to do to make proud. Thanks to my partner, David, who was amazing throughout a very tough writing process, to all of my wonderful siblings who are the absolute world to me, and to everyone who gets up every day and stands up for what they believe in. Thank you.
That was one of my favorite reads from last year. Thank you. Congratulations. Our next category is the prize for fiction. This year, the judges were Melissa Cranenberg, Melissa Manning, Jean Smith, and the convener, Leah Jing. The shortlisted titles are Cold Enough for Snow by Jessica O, published by Giramondo Publishing. The Signal Line, Brendan Colley, published by Transit Lounge. This Devastating Fever by Sophie Cunningham, published by Ultima Press. An Exciting and Vivid Inner Life, Paul Delarose, published by Allen and Unwin. Salonika Burning by Gail Jones, published by Text Publishing. And The Lovers by Yumna Kasarb, published by Ultima Press. Steve, would you?
It's my pleasure. So the winner of the prize for fiction is Cold Enough for Snow by Jessica Au.
Thank you, Minister. Oh. Sorry, my heart is beating so much you can feel it in my stomach. It's always so hard to sum up the feelings of gratitude and nervousness and shock and shyness that comes with moments like these. And I think as well to acknowledge the deep honour and importance of these prizes and the hard and dedicated work of the judges, while at the same time nodding somehow to the sheer luck of it all. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that Cold Enough for Snow was written on the unceded lands of the Boon Wurrung people, and I'd like to pay my respects to their stories and their elders, as well as all First Nations people listening and here tonight. To Paul Delarosa, Gail Jones, Yumna Kasard, Brendan Colley, and Sophie Cunningham, it was so humbling to share this shortlist with you and your incredible works. To Soph in particular, thank you not only for your writing and your wisdom, but also for these many years of friendship together, which includes not only our work, but also a really rather fantastic road trip down the west coast of America. Thank you too to my agent, Claire Forster. I owe a huge debt of gratitude to publishers Ivor Endick and Nick Tapper at Giramondo, as well as Barbara Epler and Tynan Kogane and Jacques Testard. I am floored by the work that you do and the fact that you still care for and protect this necessary thing that we call literature. Thank you for building these small presses and these places that give chances not just to this small, odd work, but also to many others. To Ollie for making everything in life interesting and intelligent and meaningful. I sometimes feel so lucky just to share it with you and look over your shoulder every once in a while. Thank you to my mother Celia for her deceptive strength and her gentleness, and for being so eternally proud of this book. Thank you to some brilliant friends like Anna and Ruby and Brad and Jody and Marissa, who I know are here tonight. And lastly, of course, I'd like to thank the judges and all the staff at the Wheeler Centre for putting on a wonderful night like this. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. We're celebrating. Sometimes I just feel it so deep inside. Our next category is a prize for nonfiction. This year, the judges were Jonathan Dunk, Ramona Cavall, Sher Tan, and the convener was Eve Rees. The shortlisted titles are Childhood, a memoir by Shannon Burns, published by Text Publishing. Root and Branch, Essays on Inheritance by Ida Gun Aidin, published by New South. Indelible City, Dispossession and Defiance in Hong Kong by Louisa Lim, published by Text Publishing. The Uncaged Sky, my 804 Days in an Iranian Prison by Kylie Moore Gilbert, published by Ultima Press. People Who Lunch, Essays on Work, Leisure and Loose Living by Sally Olds, published by Upswell Publishing. Our Members Be Limited, a comic about workers and their unions by Sam Wallman, published by Scribe Publications.
The winner of the prize for non-fiction is Root and Branch, Essays on Inheritance by Ida Gunnadan.
Thank you. Hi, folks. Well, gosh, I quipped earlier that with this prize I can now afford a faster phone. Thank you for paying that recycled joke. You know, it's loading up.
Anyone got a joke?
I thought I was telling jokes. Oh gosh, how could you? Thank you for that adjustment. Holy dooly, it's just not coming up. And I refuse to riff is the other thing. I suppose I might just have to. I guess the first thing I want to say is thank you to everyone involved in making this event happen, as well as the judges and reviewers, and everyone who's gathered here at the moment. The real reason I actually want to look to my scripted speech is because I want to read briefly from my own book, not to be self-aggrandizing, but just because I think it's a little kind of ironic. It is both kind of humbling, but also a little ironic to win this prize, because there's a passage in Root and Branch where I write that most of us don't get pulled out of the mud, no matter how hard we wish or work. Most of us don't get discovered and don't win some prize and don't get granted exemptions from everyday indignities. I wrote this in order to argue against individualism and against excessive faith in meritocracy, and to argue instead that we must keep our focus on altering the everyday conditions of the many, and that we must think of so many of the traumas that we face: abuse, migration, poverty, the ongoing reality of settler colonialism, first and foremost as material things. But here I am nevertheless winning a prize, and I'm still grateful. In the pages of Our Members Be Unlimited, one of many powerful books shortlisted for this prize, Sam Wallman employs the Latin proverb that one bee is no bee, to remind us about the importance of collectivity. And I carry that saying with me when I think about the fact that this book has been the product of many hands and many labours. Harriet and Kathy and the rest of the team at New South were championing this book, and my English and Turkish language copy editors and my readers and my relational and intellectual community. And my partner Kate and my friend Jim in particular have held me back over the past year from many threatened descents into despair. Whatever achievements I may earn, whatever that means, also belong to all of them. Thank you.
Another book I really enjoyed reading last year. So, congratulations. Our next category is a prize for drama. This year, the judges were Melissa Reeves and the convener Tasnim Hussain. And the shortlisted titles are The Return by John Harvey, presented by Malthouse Theatre; Golden Blood by Merlin Tong, presented by Currency Press in association with Griffin Theatre Company; White Fella Yellow Tree by Dylan Vandenberg, presented by Currency Press in association with Griffin Theatre Company. And now we welcome Steve to announce the winner.
The winner of the prize for drama is The Return by John Harvey.
Hi everyone. Can I do that? Yeah. Sorry. It's fantastic. Thank you. I was just looking at the face of my daughter just to see her reaction, Sarah, who's here. And now she's just covered her head with my jacket. She doesn't give a lot away. Thank you. I just want to thank the Minister and, for excellent prize. I mean, just Victoria just kicks it, so much, and I just love it. And I'm a lover of sport and I'm a lover of art, and I love this place. I lived here for 13 years. I want to thank Malthouse Theatre. Jason Temaru, he used to work in repatriation and brought me on board to write this show. And, I want to thank Matthew Lutton and Sarah and all the team at Malthouse. And the irony isn't lost on me that we come from an oral storytelling tradition. And the work that I wrote were bringing voices where there weren't voices. And it's about the ancestral return of human remains of our ancestors, which was used for science. And many of the things that were written weren't written from our people. They were written, documented by white middle-class men, and people were dissected, sent all around the world. And, part of this, it was a horrific to read, and to the point where I wouldn't bring it home to my family. I couldn't bear to have the material in my home. And, I think through the process, finding a voice to tell that story. And I think these heinous acts that took place, I think we are all very connected. And that's what I really learnt through this process, because in that process of repatriation, little bits of story and information flow from people. It might be a farmer who's just uncovered something on their farm. It could be anyone from anywhere. And that collective storytelling, that collective knowledge that we all hold, can help return our ancestors home. And, I think there's something beautiful and positive there for all of us to feel and take away. I want to thank my partner, Lydia Fairhall, and Sarah Mo, who's disengaged with her boring dad, and Aralorn. And, it is a lone thing, and often, you're taken away from your family, and even though you're there, sometimes you're not there, and it's a lot to put up with. So I thank them, and thank you. Thanks a lot.
Congratulations. Yeah. Oh, wow. I'm just taking it in. And John said, we have to just take a minute to pause and think about, storytelling, the collective act of storytelling as well, and the deep impact it actually has and the importance it is for communities who are reclaiming themselves after pretty disruptive events. Hey, the prize for poetry. That is our next category. And this year the judges were Eleanor Jackson, Maria Taikolanda, and the convener was Adolfo Aranjuez. And the shortlisted books are The Altar of Touch by Gavin Yangual, published by the University of Queensland Press, Clean by Scott Patrick Mitchell, published by Upswell Publishing, and Fugitive by Simon Tedeschi, published by Upswell Publishing. Steve, would you announce the winner?
So the winner of the prize for poetry is At the Altar of Touch by Gavin Yangual. So I understand that Gavin is not with us here tonight, but there will be a message, is that right, on the screen?
I'm delighted. and deeply honored to be receiving the Victorian Premier's Prize for Poetry. I'm coming to you from Austin, Texas, the occupied lands of the Tonkawa, Lipan Apache, Karankawa, Comanche, and Coahuiltecan people. So I want to pay my respect to the elders, past, present, and emerging. Most of the poems in this collection were written on the lands of the Turrbal people. So I want to express my sincerest gratitude to the elders, past, present, and emerging. I would also like to acknowledge my fellow poets, Scott Patrick and Simon, who are equally deserving of this honor. I'm deeply grateful to the Wheeler Center and to the 3 judges for the confidence in my work. My heartfelt thanks to the University of Queensland Press, particularly Aviva Taffield, for their unwavering support every step of the way. I want to express my sincere gratitude to my editor and mentor, Felicity Plunkett, who believed in and nurtured this book and continues to inspire me with her kindness and wisdom. I would also like to thank my friends and family for the unconditional love and encouragement. You're the fountainhead of all that sings in my life. Thank you.
And the whole poet laureate thing? Yes. Our next category is a prize for writing for young adults. Yes, someone's really excited there. This year, the judges were Alison Evans, Jessica Walton, and the convener, Erin Wamala. The shortlisted books are We Who Hunt the Hollow by Kate Murray, published by Hardie Grant Children's Publishing. The Tree of Ecstasy and Unbearable Sadness by Matt Otley, published by Dirt Lane Press, Westwards. Where You Left Us by Rhiannon Wild, published by the University of Queensland Press. Let's find out who the winner is.
We're getting smooth on this, aren't we? The winner of the prize for writing for young adults is We Who Hunt the Hollow by Kate Murray.
I'm extraordinarily grateful and humbled to receive this tonight. It's an honour to be recognised alongside some truly amazing stories by writers I admire, including Matt, Rhiannon, Jared and Carly in the young adults category, and fellow debut book gang friends Scott Patrick Mitchell and Brendan Colley in poetry and fiction as well. I've spent the last 9 years as a full-time parent and a writer. Both jobs aren't exactly well known for their financial remuneration, so this award is very much welcomed by my family. My partner Chris is actually excited that I will get to pay taxes here. We Who Hunt the Hollow is a story that came to me out of nowhere, almost fully formed, like I was meant to write it. This big, chaotic family of female superheroes fighting monsters in a future Melbourne. I had so much fun writing it, and I had no idea that it might take me all the way to this moment. I'd love to give a quick thank you to everyone who has supported me. My partner Chris, who took on the burden of financially supporting our family while I did a lot of the unpaid work. To my boys, Jamie and Rory, who I think might be watching there on live stream in New Zealand, if you're still up. I love you. To the rest of my family who have always fostered my love of writing from a very young age. The team at Hardie Grant Children's Publishing, Marisa, Luna, Joe, Serica, Penelope, Jane, Kerry, Kate, Joanna, and everyone else for making my dream come true. how cool is this? I thought when you emailed me an offer of publication on my birthday that was pretty cool, but this is also really cool. Thank you to the Premier, to the Wheeler Centre, to Creative Victoria, to Melbourne City of Literature, and to the judges. And also, lastly, thank you to all of the readers out there.
Congratulations. Our next category is a prize for Indigenous writing. Yes. This year the judges were Laniok, John Morrissey, and the convener was Bridget Caldwell-Bright. And the shortlisted books are Harvest Lingo by Lionel Fogarty, published by Giramondo Publishing, Astronomy, Sky Country by Carly Noon and Crystal De Napoli, Thames and Hudson, Australia, in collaboration with National Museum of Australia. The Upwelling by Illustra Rose, published by Hachette, Australia. Tell Me Again by Amy Tunick, published by University of Queensland Press. So let's find out who the winner is.
So the winner of the prize for Indigenous writing is The Upwelling by Illustra Rose.
I wanted to say essay to Annie Joy for her welcome to country, and I'm sorry that she's not here, but it's a privilege being on this land, hey? I stepped off the plane, and normally welcomes these days, it happens just a few hours later. In my old people's time, I could have waited by that river for days, whatever it took. Our ancestors were patient. Essay to the judges, all the people who made this water possible, and my publishers, Hachette. It's a heavy responsibility writing a novel based on another mob's country. Cultural protocols can't be rushed. There's no surf from my ancestral tribal nations, so thanks to the Kumbameri people and other Yugambeh-speaking clans of the Gold Coast, there's a long list of mob in the acknowledgements in my book. They've gifted me with knowledge passed down from the beginning of time, as have my elders and family. Thanks to my greatest encouragers, my husband Ray, and our children Zoe and Bob. Esso Dad, who lived during Queensland's apartheid. You and every black fellow were forced to stand at the back of your high school classroom. Only the white students were allowed to sit down. Your teachers said, "Why are you at school? You'll never get a good job." Dad taught me to work hard, that a good education is important. I'm the first in my Indigenous family to finish high school, get a degree at uni, run my own business, write a novel, and win an award. I'm also the first female editor of a mainstream surf mag in the world. And I get to surf the wave pool tomorrow, just putting that in there. First can be exciting. First can be terrifying. When I was born, I was the first person in my Indigenous family to be counted as human under Australian law. Let me say that again. When I was born, I was the first person in my Indigenous family to be counted human under Australian law. So much has changed from Dad's school days to mine. I love writing young adult novels. It's cultured by stealth. Imagine what emotionally intelligent young people can do when they become custodians of knowledge, not to power over, but to empower. To all the people who got me here, and you writers, our courageous truth tellers, Esso.
Sometimes it's good to leave room for truth to just, sink in. Thank you. Congratulations. So, the next category is the Unpublished Manuscript Award. The judges were Miles Allinson, Ali Richards, Astrid Edwards was a convener. And the shortlisted books are Still Water by Amy Brown, One Divine Night by Mick Cummins, and Bright Objects by Ruby Todd.
I'm going to hold the suspense for 45 seconds, because this is the last one that I'm presenting, and then the awesome Catherine is presenting the final one. But I wanted just to say that this will be next year's event. Next year's awards will have a new category, the reinstated children's category. And 25 years, I think, or thereabouts. So I want to just quickly thank the writing community, the publishing community of Victoria, the booksellers of Victoria, Caro, the Wheeler Centre, Catherine was a big champion for it, and Greater Victoria. We're really pleased as a government to be able to bring back the children's category. I like the concept of Kennett removed it, Dan brought it back, so it's, sorry, had to be a little bit political. But that will be as of next year. So, the winner of the Unpublished Manuscript Award is One Divine Night by Mick Cummins.
Thank you. I must admit I'm a little bit more comfortable sitting in front of a computer or at the kitchen table. I'd like to thank the Premier and his government for supporting this award, the Wheeler Centre and everybody that works there, for supporting writers and new ideas, all ideas really. And to the judges for their appreciation of my work. To my partner Shane for her support over many years, to Francesca Tarquinio for suggesting that I submit the manuscript in the first place. Without her suggesting that the day before submissions were due, I wouldn't be standing here. Also, I want to congratulate the other two nominees, Ruby and Amy, and I wish them all the best in the future for their work. And also to, friends and family that read initial drafts and for their feedback. Thank you.
So I have to add that the winner of the award for the Unpublished Manuscript receives $15,000 in prize money and also a 2-week, yes? and a 2-week residency at McCraith House on the Morning Peninsula. Thanks to RMIT Culture. So, congratulations. So now the big one, the really big one. The winners of the 6 main suite categories are all in contention for the overall Victorian Prize for Literature, worth an additional $100,000. This is the single most valuable literary award in the country, and as you heard from all the writers, those dollars be dollaring. We need those dollars. Right. So please welcome Catherine Andrews to the stage to announce the winner of the Victorian Prize for Literature.
Well, Minister Demopoulos just sat next to me and said, I am so honoured to be in company of these incredible humans. And so am I. This is absolutely one of my favourite events of the year and something that I've been part of for the past 8 years. So when Caro contacted my staff late last year to say, could Catherine please come early February, it was probably already in my calendar. Can I begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we're meeting today, the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nation. This place by the Birrung has been a site of storytelling for more than 60,000 years. I'd like to pay my respects to the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung elders, past and present, as well as Aboriginal elders of other communities who may be here today or joining us via live stream. I would also like to acknowledge my wonderful friend and great champion for Victorian creatives, the Honourable Steve Demopoulos, Minister for Creative Industries, Tourism, Sport and Major Events. My friend and noble defender of the arts, former Creative Industries Minister Martin Foley, the Lord Mayor of Melbourne, Sally Capp, and all the staff at Creative Victoria. They work tirelessly to make Victoria the creative state. Caro Llewellyn, CEO of the Wheeler Centre, my friend Kate Tawney, Chair of the Wheeler Centre Board, the Wheeler Centre patrons, Maureen and Tony, whose generous support made the Centre for Books, Writing and Ideas a reality, and finally the entire team at the Wheeler Centre. Alongside the Board of Directors, the passion and dedication you show day in and day out doesn't just deliver the events and programs we love, it promotes big ideas being shared, big discussions taking place, and a worthy celebration of our thriving literary industry. Last November, I was thrilled to be at the Wheeler Centre celebrating Helen Garner's 80th birthday, alongside 500 other squealing fans who were just as excited as I was. It was an iconic event to celebrate an iconic Australian figure, and it really crystallised the beauty and thoughtfulness of the Wheeler Centre's programming. No matter what stage in life you're at, there's always something for you. I'm thrilled to be back here today. The Wheeler Centre is a cornerstone of Melbourne's status as UNESCO City for Literature. We were only the second city in the world to be bestowed this great honour. Deservedly, I might add, given that Melburnians consume more books, magazines and newspapers per capita than any other Australian city. But the honour is in no small part bolstered by the work of the Wheeler Centre, and I, like so many Victorians, am so pleased and so proud that this unique cultural institution, which reaches scores of audiences around Australia and the globe, calls Melbourne home. As an avid reader, I'm always excited to see which Australian works have been selected as some of the year's best. The Victorian Premier's Literary Awards shortlist has formed part of my summer reading list for years. I love seeing the way the selection spans so many different genres and subject matters. There is the brilliant depth and talent of our Indigenous writers and storytellers. It's so good to see the creativity and diverse ideas that come from new and emerging writers, as well as some of our best known and best loved authors. And I admire the authors not just for their exceptional work as the custodians of these stories, but for matching the determination that this profession demands. It's not easy to be a writer. I have a lot of friends who are writers, and they tell me all the time it takes a lot of drive and a lot of hard work. It also takes a thick skin and a willingness to push on and push through. But for the reader, the fruits of the writer's labours are endless. The literary sector entertains, educates and delights millions of Australian readers. From our youngest years, books can offer a wondrous escape from reality, taking us to new places, distant worlds or times past. They can also offer us a vital education, bringing key issues and fresh perspectives to the fore with fierce clarity. The variety of works shortlisted this year do both. Collectively, they showcase a multitude of voices, perspectives and ideas being amplified in new and compelling ways. And these works are so important because a strong culture of writing is fundamental to a strong culture of literacy and helps to build empathy across communities, cultures and experiences. Writers are central to our cultural richness, to the very fabric of our communal understanding of each other and to our national identity. But as I said, we know that writers don't have an easy job. So I'm so glad that their hard work is being recognised and rewarded today, and I'm so pleased to be playing my small part in this. So beyond the writers shortlisted for these awards, I want to thank the wider literary community for all the work that you do. It's why I acknowledge the multitude of publishers, librarians, booksellers, agents, critics, and those involved in writing festivals that develop, promote and uplift this incredible work and share it with the wider community. And now for the big moment. The Victorian Prize for Literature is worth $100,000. It is the single most valuable literary award in Australia. It is a recognition from the Victorian Government that literary excellence is something that we as a community and as a state deeply respect, value and treasure. It's also a recognition that in order for creativity, artistic talent and critical thinking to thrive well into the future, it must be supported and encouraged day after day and year after year. I know you're all very keen for the big reveal, so I'll keep this short. It is my great pleasure to now announce the winner of the 2023 Victorian Premier's Prize for Literature and the recipient of the additional $100,000 prize. And the winner is Jessica O. for Cold Enough for Snow, published by Giramondo Publishing. Congratulations, Jessica. Congratulations.
Oh my God, this is wonderful, but I feel slightly ill. I don't know what to say. Just thank you so much. This is just a staggering honour. It's completely unbelievable. Think of something. I guess, you know, I'm so grateful, and I think that something like this is a life-changing moment. But I do want to say, I guess, as well that, you know, prizes, they do sort of fade, and, you know, you're sort of left with ordinary life and ordinary time. And that's just time to think and time to read and time to be. And for me, it's time to stare deeply into the eyes of my cat. And maybe if we're lucky out of that time, some writing comes. And that's where you can say all the things that are impossible to say in speeches like this. So thank you so much. Thank you to the judges. Thank you for this meaningful time. I am so, so grateful. Thank you.
So good. Congratulations to all the winners and the shortlisted writers and their publishers. And that concludes tonight's awards. Thank you to our DJ, Jennifer Lovelace, and our Auslan interpreters, Linda and Leah. Our official photographer, TJ Garvey. Thank you to Marble for the food. Yeah. And to The Edge for having us at your beautiful venue. And just again to acknowledge the custodians of these lands and, you know, just how, I think this has been a year for me, or last year was a year for me when I really became more aware of how influential, how do I put this? How deeply influenced I am by the land on which I live, and to really recognize that when it comes through my writing, and to really acknowledge where I stand, and to acknowledge that this land has been taken care of for thousands and thousands of years, and to really honor that, and to stand in awe of it, not fear of it, in awe of it, and in deep appreciation and in deep love of that. Thank you.